Hello, fellow people! This is part 4 in my Hypothetical RWBY reboot, and by now I hope I don't have to explain where to find more about this project. This time we'll be working on Blake and start to attempt to handle the Faunus issue. Let's get this out of the way again. I'm like the least qualified person to talk on the whole issue of fictional racism plots and why animal parallels basically never work for it, but I do know a thing or two about making fictional animalistic characters and making them make sense in their own world. So let's keep in the back mind that there is a bigger issue at play and there are a lot more qualified people who can talk about it, and focus on making Faunus of Remnant make sense. Some of you may go, well, can't we just remove that plotline completely? But then we'd have to remove Blake in entirety because that's literally her entire character. Both her story arcs are directly tied to this one. And as I said before, we are not removing anything major like that. But I will be fundamentally changing things about it. Let's start with the fact that Faunus are not half animals, not even quarter. Blake is an anime girl with cat ear headband slapped on top. To Butcher Crow's line, same as humans in every trait but one. Which makes zero sense if we want to make this into a thing. Why are they calling Faunus dirty animals when they only have one trait and that's it? Some people in our world are going crazy for ideas of Neko waifus becoming real. And I can already hear some of you going, but Sunny, the point of discrimination is that it doesn't make sense, it's just blind hate based on some random aspect. To which I say, fair point for real life, but this is a fantasy series, everything here is exaggerated. Also, we're talking about a world where our people have minor superpowers and half the population have natural weird hair colors with nobody making fun of that fact or looking down on people without semblances. Not to mention skin color based racism not existing there. So if we're going to be illustrating that, it needs to be more exaggerated, not less. As weird as it sounds, give people of Remnant more reasons to find Faunus different and thus weird and thus something to look down on. Make them even more animalistic. Actual half animals, just some showing it more than others. It doesn't make them lesser than humans, and Adam somewhere might argue they're even better than, but they are clearly different. And people very much don't like differences. Thus, my Blake, as you will see from his peep-in, has her cat ears instead of human ones, not just slapped on top of her head, and actual cat eyes with all of their properties. She also has retractable claws like her dad, but she only uses them in desperate situations. If you want to go extra edgy for some reason, here's a bit for your personal consideration, not an actual part of my reboot. She used to have a tail too, but she cut it off during her time in White Fang to sneak around better and blend in with humans on spy missions, so now she only has a nub of it left, easy to hide with clothes. Blake was an activist from a young age, raised as Chief's daughter, and thus I feel like she would have a lot of people's skills. She is kinda awkward and reserved, but that's mostly for public speaking and meeting new people issue. She would spend a lot of time with members of her village and help those in need. Gera would teach her a lot about other kinds of inclusivity, so everyone would be welcome here and be able to ask him for help without issue. So she's educated on different types of disabilities and how to handle them. Her and Kali, as well as other members of the society, would do educational hours with the village kids left without parents, teach them how to read and write and different life skills. Of course, that's before the shift in the ways of White Fang and the eventual split from her family, leading her to over-rely on Adam, and we all know how that went. Honestly, it's not that surprising for a young bushy-tailed, no pun intended, girl to fall for an older guy in a prominent position. And this shared in ideology? And fighting for the rights? Well shit, sounds like a perfect match that totally doesn't have a false bottom hiding a shit and other processed trauma that will reveal itself in the nastiest ways. Yeah, let's get this out of the way too. Blake was abused. Adam was also abused in his younger years, never processed that and internalized his experiences into hatred, which then turned into him lashing out and thus continuing the cycle of abuse. He's not a mustache-twirling Saturday morning cartoon villain, but his past doesn't excuse his actions either, like some dipshits on the internet believe to this day for some reason. The past that I wish was explored more so he wouldn't seem like one. More on that when we get to his rise and literal fall in Act 2. What's important is that Blake's experiences in White Fang completely changed her way of approaching people, making her always on the lookout for danger, looking for hidden meanings in everything people do, and if those can be the signs that she missed last time. Careful in trusting people and letting them get too close so she doesn't get hurt again. She might goof around once in a while, but the worry is always there in the background. Totally not speaking from experience. As I mentioned plenty of times before, we're taking the way Ice Queendom did episode 1 and maybe even a tiny bit of 2 and 3, and thus Black Trailer will be in there, but in its original vague form, no early Faunus reveal, but more direct on Adam clearly not giving a shit about killing workers on the train, which leads to Blake literally cutting him off to save the people and herself, after which she runs for Beacon to start a new life. Also, don't worry people who haven't watched any bit of IQ, I'll do a recap once we get past the character introductions. Because in my version Blake's eyes are very clearly cat, she wears tinting glasses to hide them. If anyone asks, it's for light sensitivity, so she can wear them indoors and in class. Since Osman is kinda trying to unite the world, he would make sure his school is as inclusive as possible, so that's not an issue. Blake's cat ears, her only ears, are bigger and on the sides of her head, slightly above where human ears would be. Side note, I like the take that Blake is so monotone and bland in early volumes because she's intentionally trying not to make her ears move by reacting to things. It's surprising that a ribbon can even cover them in the first place. Well, not the case for my take on those ears, it would just look weird. Instead, she covers them with a bandana or a hoodie or something big and white like that. In the sketches, I gave her a bandana with a little chameleon, a gift from Ilya. But having her ears bound down to her head also means that her hearing is very affected. Everything is muffled and the clothes rustles with her every move, which makes it hard to listen to things. She leans into people thinking she's partially deaf. Might as well if it keeps her identity safe. Compared to literal crimes she was a part of, semi-faking a disability isn't that bad. So when she first meets Yan, she's very annoyed on multiple levels, because she's one of those people who think they need to yell to make a hard of hearing person hear them better. And two, this energy is just way too much for her right now, trying to wind down after a whole day of making sure nobody notices she's a Faunus. Yan turns to leave, but then Ruby asks Blake about her book.
What's it about? Huh? Your book. Does it have a name?
In a normal voice and pace while signing. Blake is surprised but decides to play along, responding about it and signing back. She learned sign language since she was young to help deaf Faunus be included back in the menagerie. Kira insisted on it. But she's wondering how this girl, Ruby, knows sign language when her sister can't even act normal with her like one would with an able person. And Ruby answers about fairy tales and how she wants to make a world a better place. She doesn't socialize a lot, but she wants to help and be friendly with everyone she helps. So she taught herself how to sign and properly act with many different people just in case. And she's very proud of herself for it. Fun fact, aside from one scene in Arska's birthday animatic, this is the first time I'm drawing Blake, and thus I spent way too much time trying to figure out how her outfit works. Also, it's a funny coincidence that the pose I chose for her is exactly the same as in anime promo art. I literally haven't seen it before making the pencil sketches. And as of writing the script and doing the speed paint, I am today years old when I realized those are shorts on top of tights, and not pants with thigh-highs pulled over them with garters like I've thought for all these years. One of my ideas during the sketch was to make the scarf thing she has in the original design to be the bandana she wears over her ears, but that idea got scrapped. I didn't return the scarf though, it mixed into her hair too much. For a while there, I gave her a ribbon she used to have in the initial concept sketches, but that also got removed. By logic, it would keep hitting her in the face when she jumps. Another note on mixing into the hair thing, that's also the reason why I changed the plan and make the bandana pale blue. Ironically, that's the base color of Ilya's eyes. And also why during rendering, I made the back of her hair purple. It's not actually purple, it just helps a lot with contrast in art, so her torso wouldn't be swallowed in darkness. Okay, now onto the elephant in the room. I did make her skin darker, but not nearly as much as most people do. It makes sense she would have a tannic complexion, she's from a tropical island, but I also personally feel like making her actually dark-skinned, is kinda too on the nose. Like, wow, the only dark character in the main cast is also the animal one. Great job in parallels, it's now a fucking solid line. Like, you do you, there's some awesome art of darker Blake out there. But this is my IU, and I won't be going this far with her. Feel free to call me racist in the comments, I'll have fun copy-pasting your mama in replies. Because she wears tinted lenses, you can't see her eyes, so I made the tint exact match to them. Still keeping that pop of yellow contrast. I also made all the blacks in her outfit have a red undertone to them to offset the purples, and bringing in Ruby's color too subtly so she would have all of them. One thing I found funny while watching reactions is basically everyone seeing Blake for the first time and going, ooh, Neko, oh wait, that's a bow. So we'd have to be more subtle in how she's portrayed, to not literally spell it out before the reveal in Volume 1 finale. Like I said in the introduction video, I feel like she'd be more hesitant to directly associate herself with Faunus topics. She'll answer in class, but only things that would be well known, history being one of those. She does appreciate Pyrrha, Duncan, and Carden. She's glad there are people here who step up against his behavior. It feels like she'll spend a lot of time in the library with Ren too, studying and comparing notes. He probably offered those after noticing she's having a harder time following in some classes, with her hearing being impaired. He's quiet and minds his business, perfect to get away from the chaos in her dorm. She prefers not to interact with Vice more than is socially acceptable, unless she has to for the team. She's not as snobbish as she expected, but still a pain in the ass. A pain that gets her blood boiling by the end of the volume. A racist Schnee just as expected all along, finally showing her true colors. Though, after cooling down for a weekend, Blake does note that comparing her to Carden was too far. At least Vice isn't actively bullying people, she's just being a bystander and runs her mouth. For the first time in the months she's known her, which makes Blake rethink her decision and running away again. And at least try to talk this out, explain her situation and have a peaceful conversation like her father taught her.
Bryce, I want you to know that I'm no longer associated with the White Fang. Back when I was with—
Stop. Do you have any idea of how long we've been searching for you? 12 hours. That means I've had 12 hours to think about this. And in that 12 hours, I've decided I don't care.
You don't care?
You said you're not one of them anymore, right?
No, I haven't been since I was younger.
I don't want to hear it. All I want to know is that the next time something this big comes up, you'll come to your teammates and not someone else.
course.
After they work this out, Weiss will try to make it up in small ways. Well, small for Weiss. She gets her several pairs of tinted glasses in different shapes and colors, so Blake can mix them around. She wears purple ones during the dance, for example. And new pretty bandanas out of softer, high-quality material that won't rustle as much. She and Yan can also teach her a few hairstyles that she can wear without something covering her ears, but still hiding them well. Blake can finally share a bunch more of her favorite childhood books with Ruby, without them all suspiciously coming from menagerie heritage. Meanwhile, Yan stops after class to ask Oobleck to slow down and talk clearer during lectures, so it would be easier to understand his material, for everyone. He'll keep it in mind, and Blake will remember that. Oh, look at that, them actually having little interactions and forming connections before the debate happens. Wow, who could have thunk? But that whole rant aside for its own video, which used to be a part of Yang's video before I realized how much it went off topic. Well, either way, there will be a bit on bees in there, and I'm already looking forward to people getting pitchforks out on me. You do you, boo, as long as you give me that sweet engagement. Speaking of engagement, leave your takes on what I did with Faunus in the comments. Do you like it, hate it, want your 4-eared nega waifu back? Do you have your own takes on how we can change Faunus while keeping the storyline and characters intact? And I'll see you on the other side.